Yeah, I was modifying it yesterday and
Good, good. Do you have any questions first, getting started?
What do you think about my research and my thesis?
Okay, I was
I
was looking at it, and I just made a few comments with regard to your research questions, and for now I think they're fine. I just made a note here that you might want to
specify
later, but
specify later the verbal aspects.
Yeah. Let's see, reflecting the specific opposite. Okay, so maybe as you develop your literature review, or even at the end, you might revisit this question and see from some of the comments that you mentioned in the literature review, maybe include some of those in the research question.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
For now, it's okay. Yeah. Now, I was looking at the thesis statement. Yeah. And I was looking at what you have so far in your literature review to get some ideas. And the thesis statement sometimes can be difficult to present. Now, think of have you had a chance to look at this argument, how to develop an argument here? There's a lot of good information about, in fact, everything that we talk about right now is pertaining to this page, okay? And there's a lot of information here, but it's worth taking a look at some of the videos and some of the text. But essentially, this page talks about how to form an argument. So think of your literature review as a big argument essay, just like we used to write 5-paragraph essays, an argumentative essay. Essentially, that's what we're going to be doing in our literature review. You're going to be presenting an argument, a position. So the thesis statement is that one sentence that is the overall argument or position that you want to make, that you will later discuss more in detail in your literature review. So in your case, you have these concepts of verbal communication, nonverbal communication, and giving instructions. So let's think of kind of an overall position or argument that you can come up with that states a position, an opinion. So even though you're not going to be using modals like should and would, you are in one sense voicing an opinion that you're going to present in your thesis statement. So let's look at this from just a very general standpoint. You have here in your thesis statement, now I took out the first clause. I think we can remove that. And let's begin by saying the use of verbal and nonverbal communication. Now, we also have this idea of giving instructions, right? So you have to ask yourself, well, what is the most important concept here that I want to start my thesis statement? Is it the use of verbal and nonverbal communication, or is it giving instructions? And then, if we say giving instructions, perhaps we're going to talk about giving instructions to language learners, perhaps. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to assume, and you can correct me here if I'm wrong, but giving instructions that you have here, you have use of verbal non-communication. Most of what you talk about is about language learning, correct? Or is it just?
Yeah, was one part from the literature review that I was talking about giving instructions. Then I will start talking about the use of nonverbal and the use of verbal.
Okay, but how often are you referencing language learning, like giving instructions for language learners? I mean, are you talking about that a lot in your research, or is it just general, like giving instructions to a class, a native speaker? I mean,
I was giving instructions to students mostly.
Okay, so if most of what you talk about is pertaining to language learners, then maybe in the thesis statement, the main idea, you might begin by giving instructions to language learners. Okay. Now, and then you can say, or the effectiveness or the success in giving instructions to language learners depends on how verbal and nonverbal communication is used, employed, is presented. You might state a claim saying that it requires a variety of methods or ways of using that. It can't always be the same, that it has to be mixed. Right? So now you're stating a claim. You're saying to give instructions to language learners, in order for that to be effective or to be applied in the best way, teachers or educators need to use a variety of ways. They can't just use the same technique or strategy that they have to. So then the rest of your thesis is going to be talking about that, about how to mix all of these, and maybe some are better than others, and you compare and contrast, but then you build your thesis around that one topic. So I would consider mentioning giving instructions to language learners, so you were specifying that more specifically, and then something about using it in a different way, like you're stating a position that language educators need to use verbal and nonverbal communication in a variety of ways, that they shouldn't use it just in one simple way.
Okay.
Something along those lines, and in that way now you have a position, a claim, and essentially that is your opinion, but you're not going to say, the rest of the literature review is essentially supporting that idea, and you're going to use citations to support your ideas. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so looks like you have 3 sections: giving instructions, use of verbal communication, and use of nonverbal. Now,
I'm just like accommodating all the information.
Right.
The paragraph that I pasted about giving instruction, that I counted like done, but I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I would add more information. And I started with the use of verbal, and I was looking for.
All right. What's the main difference between this section, giving instructions, and the other 2 sections? What do you have here that is not related, or that's different than verbal and nonverbal?
Okay.
So giving instructions.
Me sigue abriendo Applied Linguistics.
¿Mande?
Me sigue abriendo Applied Linguistics.
Okay. Giving instructions to another person. Okay, so the very first quote that you have here, and I would recommend starting each paragraph with a topic sentence that is your original idea. So
that was a question. In the literature review, we can use original ideas from myself. From me, like that I can comment on information for.
Not so much in the literature review. No, you can. What you're going to comment on is the evidence, what other people say.
Yeah.
But you won't really talk about any of your own experiences or what you think.
Just like.
Yeah, but you'll comment, you'll compare and contrast, analyze, and synthesize.
And, just to complement, but I can, write something taken from me.
Your original ideas. In fact, most of what you write should be your original idea.
Yeah, because I was having that question because last semester Toño told us that the literature review included just like the information from authors. Like I don't care what you say, just what author says.
Okay. Well, all right. Let me clarify that point. So, begin each paragraph with the topic sentence that is your own original idea. Okay. When you write your literature review, most of what you write should be your original idea. So every sentence that you write is going to be either your original idea or it's not. If it's not your original idea, we know we need a citation, a reference, whether you paraphrase or you direct quote. Everything else should be original idea. More than 50%, that is 51% or more of all the text, should be your original idea. what we don't want is just citation, 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 citation. Because not only is that not recommended, that's also a form of plagiarism. Even though you cite perfectly according to APA, perfectly fine, you have your references like they should be, if you cite more than 50% of the text and just counting the words, that's another example of plagiarism. So let's look at a body paragraph. And I don't know if you're familiar with the meal plan. We've talked a little bit about the meal plan. But basically, it's an acronym that helps me think of how to develop a body paragraph. So the main idea is an acronym that begins with M, or the main idea. We can also call this the topic sentence. This is the general idea, one idea only, of the body of the paragraph. Okay. The E in meal stands for evidence. And evidence could be details, examples, it can be facts, statistics, it can be certain experiences, but all of the evidence should come from an outside source. That's a citation. So the topic sentence, the main idea of your paragraph, is your own idea. It's original idea. The evidence should be a citation. So that is an example, a detail, a fact from someone else. Okay. The A in meal, in the acronym MEAL, stands for analyze. Now, analyze could mean compare and contrast. It could mean synthesize. You could also think of it as a comment. You're making a comment, but a comment about the evidence. That is, the evidence in relationship to the main idea. So think of it like this. You state a claim, one idea, X, okay. Then you bring in evidence, citations. Now, for you, the writer, it's obvious, it's clear for you that the evidence relates to the main idea. But you want to be more clear, you want to be more, make it more obvious to the reader what the relationship of the evidence to the main idea is. So your comment is to support that link between the evidence and the main idea. But it's your own idea. And you're talking about the evidence. It's not about your opinion. You're not going to be talking about, based on my experience, I agree with this author. No. And I think that's what Tonio's kind of referring to. Like it's not your opinion in that sense. You're not going to recall like your own personal experience. But you are creating your own original idea based on your interpretation of the evidence and the main idea. Okay. And then the final sentence, L, in the acronym MEAL, is a link between the main idea of the one paragraph that you just finished with the next body paragraph. So there's a nice transition between each paragraph. Okay. So there are 4 types of sentences that make up your paragraph. And so the first sentence is always going to be the topic sentence or the main idea. Then I would suggest every second sentence is evidence. Because sometimes we write another sentence that's kind of like the topic. Like we write another and then we later jump right to the evidence. So, and then from the second to third or fourth sentences, from there you're going to combine. You decide if you're going to write a sentence that's evidence that requires a citation, or if you're analyzing. So there are many different options. So you could do first sentence main idea, second sentence evidence, and then another sentence that's evidence, and then fourth sentence that analyzes. Or you could do evidence, analyze, analyze. Okay. The main idea though is that you have a balance between the evidence and the analyze within each paragraph. Okay. And that the final sentence, 2 other things. The final sentence is always the link. Okay, so you want to link with the last sentence. But the second to the last sentence, okay, it will always be analyzed. So for example, you're not going to have a paragraph, where the second to the last sentence is evidence, and then you link typically to the next paragraph. You want to always talk about the evidence that you present in that same paragraph. So whether it's one sentence that's evidence, or 2, or maybe 3, always have an analyzed sentence after to talk about what you presented, because it's like you're presenting an evidence and then moving on to another idea without explaining what's the relationship. Does that make sense with the main idea? So all of those 4 types of sentences, the only type of sentence that's going to be a citation, generally speaking, is going to be the evidence.
Yeah. Okay.
The main idea, the analyze, and the link are all your original ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So most of your literature review will be your own ideas, but you're building a claim based on what other people say, an argument. So the whole literature review is an argument.
Mm-hmm.
The thesis statement is your own idea as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you're making a claim here. You're saying that to be really effective, to give good instructions, you need to vary the way in which you communicate, verbally and non-verbally. That's your position.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so the rest of your literature review is going to support that. Later on, you're going to do your own research to see what conclusions you make to compare what the authors in the literature review say.
Okay.
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 So does that make sense?
Yes.
All right? So
No, yeah.
all right. So that's what I would.
Do you have because I remember that for applied linguistics you send us like everything that you used to evaluate or work, and I couldn't find it.
The rubric or.
It was like the rubric in which.
Or the meal plan.
Yeah, it was like a rubric in which it was meal, CA, and the meaning of meal and the meaning of CA. Because you
okay. So this chart.
That one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the chart. In fact, I just uploaded this in Canvas. If you go to announcements.
Yeah. Because I was.
The error code list. I have a link here. Where you can download this file directly from Canvas. You can either download it on your computer.
The error code lists? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And this also includes meal plan here at the bottom.
Yeah.
But you can download this and print it or whatever. Do whatever you want with it. So there you have that. That was posted yesterday.
Okay. Yes, because I was looking for it in the applied linguistics and I was like, I find it.
Okay. So yeah, if you can't find it, let me know. But it should be. Should have it there.
Okay.
So let's take a look. Anything else we need to?
No. Well, yeah. Now taking this meal plan into account, I'm going to modify that information. I mean, to make use of more original ideas, because I have, like, for example, lots of quotes, and I'm like, okay.
Now, just so you know, one of the hardest things to do when you develop body paragraphs, believe it or not, is to develop the topic sentence.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing. One way you can do this, okay, and this is just if this works, for you, but you have your thesis statement and you have your 3 main topics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do go back here and make sure that this information is different from everything else. It looks like you're talking, at least from the first sentence, that you're talking about difficulties, giving instructions to another person. It can be difficult, okay, or some problems. So maybe the heading is something related to the problems of giving instructions, maybe, or
instead of just giving instructions.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more descriptive. Just whenever you finish writing, go back to the heading and ask yourself if that's the best way to state that. The main thing though is that each section you're talking about something different, that they're all related, but that you're not repeating yourself like this should go in this section type of thing. So, let's see. All right, I'm making just a few comments here. These are just small things. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
So, like the size of the paragraphs, maybe a section can include 3 paragraphs, for example, but each paragraph should be, follow the meal plan.
Right, each body paragraph. And when I talk about the meal plan, I'm basically talking about every paragraph, every body paragraph that's not the introduction or the conclusion, because those are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the body paragraph. And getting back to what I was talking about here for organization, you have your thesis statement and you have your headings. What I would do would in each section write each topic sentence.
Yeah.
Each topic sentence without writing the paragraph. Your own idea. Just think as, okay, first this is the first idea that I'm going to talk about, this is the second idea, this is the third, and this is the fourth idea, all within, for example, this heading, giving instructions, or the problem of giving instructions. And then, don't complete the paragraphs, go to the next. Use of verbal communication. Okay, what do I want to talk about in that section? Verbal communication, use of verbal communication. Idea 1, and write a sentence.
Like an outline?
Yeah, it's kind of an outline.
Okay.
But think of it as topic sentence, but a complete sentence. That is verb and a predicate. I'm sorry, subject and a predicate. Yeah, you know what I mean. And so it's a clear idea. And if, better yet, each topic sentence, try to use a verb that's not to be.
That's not to be, yes.
Now, it's not saying that it's wrong if you use the verb to be, but if you use other verbs to describe it, you get an idea about what you want to talk about. Because the tendency is to use the verb to be, and then you're still not really capturing the whole idea. It's more like just stating something. So try your best to try to use another verb that's not to be, and avoid there is, there are for topic sentences. Again, for the same reason. A strong subject, and a predicate with the dynamic verb. If you have a strong subject, also try to avoid like pronouns for the topic sentence. State what it is, right? You can use pronouns later on, obviously, within the paragraph, but that first sentence is like, what is it, you know? And even if you repeat it, what you mentioned before, that's fine, right? So as we talked about in discourse analysis, use repetition, direct repetition, as long as it's not too much, is effective. You should use, to a degree, a direct repetition. And I'll try to help you, not use it too much or whatever. But a lot of times we don't use it enough. We overuse pronouns. Yeah. And so in writing, it's not like when we speak we use more pronouns than when we write. When we write, it's less about pronouns. So. I think if you try that, it'll give you kind of a train of thought, because when you're writing one paragraph, you can kind of see the relationship. Okay, I've already talked about this, now I'm going to talk about this, and it orients yourself. And you can always go back, obviously, and change it. What I always do when I finish a paragraph, I go back to that first sentence, and I ask myself, okay, did I capture that idea? And if not, do I need to change something in the paragraph, or do I need to modify the topic sentence? Sometimes I have a really good paragraph that is not exactly reflected in the topic sentence, but I just go back and change the topic sentence, and then you move on. So these are just some strategies to try to work, do what works best for you, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make everything coherent and a logical argument. So. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think any other questions or doubts? And don't worry about I'm only going to check during the writing process what you want me to check.
After Friday, we can modify the.
Yes. Okay. So here's how we'll work. We have one more week to finish the literature review. After the due date of February 28th, I'll go through and assess. I'll make not changes, but I'll make comments. And after that point, our tutoring session will kind of change to like the next step, which is instrument design. But you're going to have until now, February 28th, until May 23rd to make any changes in the literature review. But to get the credit, the grade for this one product, try your best to complete as much as possible. I'm not checking. I'll be checking grammar. I'll be basically looking at it as if the Senor Dallas were looking at it, because I want each of you to know what to expect when they do it, when they check it. All right. Now, don't be too concerned about the points, because the weight that I'm giving this literature review is not as much as the weight that I'm giving the first draft. So there is a grade, but the weight is less than the first draft. The first draft has a lot of weight. So all of those changes should be made. And I uploaded fact, did I upload it? Yeah. Check-in announcements, if you haven't already, under grades and weights. And I talk about how I'm grading for this course. And I talk about the weights and explain all of that to make it hopefully clear as to the importance of doing reflections and just how I'm breaking down all the points. So you might want to look at grading and weights, where I talk about that.
Okay. The way.
In fact, make sure you check all the announcements. I post quite a few, but it's really for everybody, and I do all of the roundups every week there, and so I try to keep them under 10 minutes so it's not too long, but I think it's to everyone's advantage to always check all the announcements, because that's where I post information that I think everyone would benefit from. So double check those. So yeah, you'll have enough time, and we have, obviously if you have questions about your literature review, we can talk about it afterwards, but the focus will be on the other steps of the research project process.
And do we include the references already? Yes, at the end.
Yeah, at the end. Yes, we must include references. That will be at the end of your document. So even though you have all this blank, that's fine. Just leave it blank and add all your references. Take out the references that were there from the example. Add all of yours, because I'll be checking that as well. Your references and citations, that everything is in order. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Anything else?
No.
And don't forget your reflection also for Sunday. You can do your reflection anytime during the week, between Monday and Sunday.
Well, I usually do it after this.
Okay. So don't forget that. And
I will be making I will be modifying if I have a question.
Absolutely, you can send me an email. Absolutely, yeah. So you don't have to wait until next Friday. If you have a doubt or you want me to look at something, just send me an email.
Okay.
I'd be more than happy to do that. So. Okay, Lucía. Any other questions?
No.
Yeah, I think you've got a good start here going. So just keep at it and just work. Try to focus really on the organization. That's kind of a big thing. And if you can try to map out how you're going to write, sometimes it's easier to start writing because you're clear about what you want to write about. So,
outline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right.
Okay,
Well, have a good week,
you.
Lucía, and we'll see you next week. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.